Hi, everybody. It's Randy with Direct Action. This podcast is brought to you by Carcajou Tactical and Grey Fox Strategic, two Canadian-owned and operated companies here in the National Capital Region. For your Direct Action DA10 code, plug that into Grey Fox Strategic when you go on their website and you're looking for your next purchase. Type in DA10 for a 10% discount off Grey Fox Strategic equipment and apparel. All right, welcome everybody. How you doing? It's Randy with Direct Action. Today we got an awesome guest, a good friend of mine, known each other for probably about 5 or 6 years. Dr. Chris Rayner, highly educated, highly intelligent individual. Positive, motivated, go-getter. So not only is he a doctor, he's also the CEO and the founder of a overall fitness and health wellness location called Human 2.0. So we'll get a chance to talk to Chris today, ask him some good questions. So like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and welcome aboard. Chris, welcome.
Welcome. Oh, thank you for having me, man. First of all, you're bigging me up there. I appreciate that, making me sound smarter and more, fancy than I am. But no, I appreciate the invitation. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for making the time. I know how busy your schedule is, so let's get this going. Tell us, Chris, for the viewers and the listeners, who are you? What do you do? What do you do?
So I'm an orthopedic surgeon, and I've been doing that for about the last 15 years. I think I'm going to my 15th or 16th year. I'm a community orthopedic surgeon. So generally speaking, when you finish, you could work either closely affiliated with a university. So you could be an academic teaching guy, or you can be out in a community hospital. So I work in a community hospital. I have a loose affiliation with the university. I do have students from time to time, but primarily I'm a community guy. So most of my practice is in the community. So I see general orthopedic patients. And then I also own Human 2.0, the facility that you were talking about. Mm-hmm. So I co-own that and run that with my wife. And basically that is all things musculoskeletal health and wellness. And then the last thing that I do is I'm a content creator for YouTube, social media. So I create content that focuses primarily on health and wellness with a musculoskeletal edge or tilt, but there's also like injuries, injury prevention, all that kind of stuff.
Man, you got some funny, fun, entertaining videos that I've watched on the Instagram feed on, here's the mechanism of injury and then this is the follow because of it. Yeah. Anyway, if you folks are not following him, follow him. You'll get not only some really like tangible education, but you get some entertainment there too. So good, man. So you're busy. You got a lot going on.
Oh shit, man. I am uber busy.
And tell us about your family. So you got a couple of kids as well. You got 3 kids?
Yeah. So I have 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. They're not really kids anymore. They're all adults. Yeah. And they're right now they're all sort of in the Ottawa area. Yep. Although my daughter kind of is half-time here and half-time in Toronto. Okay. Hopefully I'm crossing my fingers. I might be a grandfather soon. So we'll see.
Good for you. Yeah. And you and your wife are running 2.0. And is she on the floor? Is she running like segments and training? Is that a big part of it?
So initially she was during COVID, like that period for any business, as I'm sure you know, was very, very stressful. Yep. And so she kind of stepped back from that role during COVID to focus more on sort of behind the scenes, the social media content creation. Yep. Well, she doesn't watch this podcast, so it's safe in me saying this. But and I've been trying to encourage her to get back out on the floor and do that kind of stuff. And so she just said to me this past week that with some gentle prod, she's now sort of thinking about bringing that or sort of reigniting that kind of aspect of her role and to be more active on the floor and do that because my wife and I are 2 completely different personalities. So I'm all gas. She's the brakes in our relationship, right? So I teach the same way I am. Right. And like, I'm always out there pushing people, go.
Yeah.
And she's more reserved, and she's a much more of a details person.
Yep.
So she will slow people down and focus on the fine points. And so whenever I'm teaching and she's there with me, she's like, "Oh, you missed this." So now she's like just fed up with me being an idiot, and so she's gonna start to get back out there and do some more of that.
That's good though. That sounds like you guys complement each other.
Oh, for sure,
that's awesome. My wife and I are very similar, man. She's the brake. She's safe.
Yeah.
She'd wrap everybody up in bubble wrap and. Yeah, very detail oriented. Where I'm very, I would say, off the cuff in a lot of ways. I get it done, but my approach and her approach sometimes there's confliction. Anyway, it's good, man. Good for you. So tell us, Chris, how. So you're an orthopedic surgeon, and you're also a member of the Canadian Armed Forces Reserve.
Yes.
What motivated you to become a doctor, and at what point of your life? Did you say, I'm going to be a doctor, specifically an orthopedic surgeon? How did that come to fruition?
So this is going to sound very cliche. Okay. But this is no word of a lie. Okay. So in grade 1, okay, I'm at school and they have a career day, and all the parents from the kids in the class come and they talk about what they do. Firefighter, police officer, teacher, dentist, doctor, a whole bunch of different things, right? Business people, whatever. And I just listened to that, and the doctor said, "Oh, we get to help people. We get to make people who are sick better. We do all these kinds of things." And literally, that was like, "Oh, this is really cool." I'm in grade 1. Like, how old are you? Like 6 or 7?
Yeah.
And I remember saying to my mother when I came home that day, we had career day, blah, blah, blah. I want to be a doctor. Both my parents are Jamaican immigrants. They have grade 10 education.
Mm-hmm.
They were factory workers. Okay. But the one thing I credit my parents with is that they were super supportive of me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so here's this 6-year-old, 7-year-old kid coming home saying he wants to be a doctor. My parents didn't go, "You can't be a doctor." They're like, "You can do whatever you want. Whatever you want to do, we'll support you." And so that kind of stuck in my head, right? That it was a possibility. Even though I hadn't seen anybody that I knew personally, it was like that idea of helping people stuck in my head. Mm-hmm. So as I went through school and then up to high school, I was like, I really kind of like biology. Yeah. Like this really could be a thing, right? Cool. They continue to support me, and I happen to be a reasonably intelligent student. I had pretty good marks in high school, so I was like, that's a possibility. At the end of high school, I had 2 goals. One was to play professional football, and the other one was to be a physician. I didn't know how I was going to do both, but I that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. So then I went to university, and football is pretty much a full-time job at university. So I did that, and the medicine was still in the back of my mind, but my focus at that time was trying to get to the CFL. So I went through university, and
where'd you go?
I went to Western.
Western.
Yeah. So I went to Western, played football there. I was drafted in the CFL.
Amazing.
And I went to training camp. Things didn't really work out that well.
Who drafted you?
Winnipeg.
Okay, cool.
In the 7th round in 91.
Okay.
So not quite at the bottom, but it was close to the tail.
Still made it. Still
made it.
What position did you play?
So in university, when I first went, I was a tailback. But at that time, Western football was off tackle trap, a lot of run heavy, and smash mouth. Look at me. I am not that. Right. So I got switched over to defensive back. I was a corner for my career at Western. For people who know CFL, they know, even though it's the CFL, there are a large contingent of Americans. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to the defensive secondary, so defensive backs, in Canadian football, there are 5 of us on the field at any one time. Corner is not a quintessential Canadian position.
Right.
They do not put us there, right? So even though I was a corner, they drafted me as a corner. They said, well, do you want to be left half or left halfback, or do you want to be free safety? And at that time, I was, even though I'm book smart, sometimes I'm not that smart. And so they gave me that choice, and I didn't really know a lot about those other positions because I was just like I was an athlete, and I could get by with my athleticism on the edge, right? It's like send me after a fast guy, I'll get the ball, right?
And you know what's interesting is Josh and I had this conversation just last week. We were talking about athletics and, you know, what sport has the most dominant all around athlete. And, you know, we had a great discussion back and forth, and not to sidetrack because I want to get back to this, but we talked about basketball. Like for me personally, if I'm watching TV, for example, and there's 3 sports on, football, hockey, or basketball, for an example, I would watch basketball before any other sport. I find something about the athleticism in basketball players is just phenomenal to watch. And then as we were having this conversation, we started talking about football, the intelligence and the athleticism of a quarterback, right? So that your pivot man. And then we got talking about corners. And if we think about the overall athleticism in football, the most athletic, in my opinion, just my opinion, in football would be a cornerback. The ability to run as fast as they can backwards, change positions, read the play, anticipate where things are going. To me, that's impressive.
Well, so like when you talk about intelligence versus athleticism, and you put those two things on a you know, a chart or whatever, I would say like there are some positions that are way more towards intelligence, right? Like not to say that a quarterback is not athletic. Of course they are.
Of course.
Right? But they are more, if you look at a quarterback or say a middle linebacker, right? A middle linebacker is basically the quarterback of the defense, right? So if you look at those two positions, those guys are way more intelligent than they are athleticism heavy. Whereas positions, something like a corner, for example, that is, yes, you got to be, you need to sort of be able to see what's going on, but it's very much a reactionary position, right? So you are getting by on athleticism, right? Which is, to come back to what I was saying before, that I had gotten by with my athleticism all through university. When I went to Winnipeg, like at every level you go up, everybody is the best of the previous group. Right. So then, you know, I was used to being, one of the fastest guys at Western, blah, blah, blah. Then I go to Winnipeg. Well, fuck, everybody's fast. They're all fucking fast. They're all strong, and they're all huge. Right. And so then it's like, I couldn't get by just on my athleticism. And so when they gave me that choice, halfback or free safety, I said left half. And the reason why I said left half is because it was, closest to the corner position, and I thought, it's going to be the easiest transition. But the problem with that is that not only at halfback, you have to understand not only what's going on with the corner and the defensive backs, you also need to understand what's going on in the box. You need to understand what are all the stunts, where all they're going, because you need to know when you have to help out a linebacker, when the coverage is missing, all that kind of stuff. So then I was like, so that was a dumb decision on my part, but I ended up saying left half. And if you know CFL, free safety, quintessential Canadian position. I love it.
That's what I played in high school.
It's like,
I loved it.
Because you see the whole field, and basically wherever the ball goes, you go.
Yeah. Right? And just smash anything and everything.
Exactly. Ball, smash. That's it. And I would have been much better. So anyway, needless to say, I was just overwhelmed, like, because when you see the defensive playbook and then it's like, oh my God, I got to learn all these stunts and know where everybody's going. Anyway, that didn't work out well. And they had said they appreciated the athleticism. And they said, look, go back and play another year. I still had, because at that time you could do 5 years of CIS. So I had done my 4. They said, go back and do another year and come to training camp next year. Cool. But my wife, I already had one child at that time, 4th year university, one kid. By that time, my wife was like, you want to be a doctor? you need to get studying, bro. Because my marks were not that great.
Okay.
So I knew I'd had to do some other stuff before I went to medicine. So that was, my one kick at the can. Didn't work. And, I kind of regretted it. But, for other reasons now, I'm happy that finished. And then I went back and kind of did some other degrees to upgrade my marks. And then, and I knew medicine was the goal, but I had to go back. I did a master's in biochem. Apply. So that was 2 years. I applied to get into medicine after that. Didn't get in the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
And did they give you feedback? Why?
Oh, just my marks weren't good enough.
You had a master's.
I had a master's,
and that was not good enough.
No. So because it's super competitive, right?
Yeah.
Wow. And so even though I had marks high 80s then that still wasn't enough. So then I went. I did teachers college because at that time teachers college was only a year.
Okay.
And I had easily enough marks to get in. I knew I'd get in.
Right.
And teachers college is pretty easy,
okay,
relatively speaking. So I knew I'd be able to pad my marks, right? Okay. So I went to teachers college, did that for a year, and then that brought my marks into the 90s. And then I applied, got into medicine, did my medicine for 4 years at Western. Then I transferred to Ottawa here for residency, and I did residency here. Residency in Canada for orthopedics is 5 years. It took me 6. As I said to you, I kind of crashed out in my 3rd year.
Yeah.
So I had to take a little bit of time off.
And let's talk about that. So right now you're 7-8 years in education towards becoming a doctor. Post secondary.
So post secondary, I got my 4 years bachelor's, 2 years master's, 1 year teacher college, so 7.
Yeah.
And then 4 years of medical school, so that's 11. And then an additional, I tell people I'm a dummy, so it took me 6 instead of 5. So another 6 years after that, so 17 years.
17 years.
So
good
at the
for
end,
you,
17
man.
years.
Wow. Talk about perseverance, man. That's next level. And man, this is wild. So let's talk about the residency. What does that look like, and what happened from a health perspective in terms of just pushing it? What happened?
So residency, it's different now.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking beforehand. So it's different now than it was then, because then there was less regulation. So now they recognize that they are doing things to residents that are not particularly healthy in terms of hours and workload. But I started in 2000. So in 2000, there was less regulation. And when I arrived in Ottawa, you had to do call. So basically, call means for a 24-hour block, you are covering emergency, whatever calls come into the hospital that have to do with orthopedics. And at that time, there was junior and senior. So I was a junior because I just had come on service. And then there's a senior resident who's there. And then sometimes there's a fellow and then the staff guy, right? So the junior is the first person who gets called. He's the one who goes and does stuff. So when I showed up, and when you do residency, by the way, about half the time is spent in your specialty, and the rest of the time is spent circulating through other specialties that are related, so that you can get a sense of how things run in the hospital in those other specialty, but so that you can also get some training, because although orthopedics is one specialty, there is some overlap with maybe internal medicine. There is some overlap with neurosurgery, whatever. So you have to spend some time in those. Anyway, when I first arrived, residency starts July 1st. And when I first started, I ended up being in my own service, right? Like you don't necessarily, because the residency group comes in, not everybody can fit in a particular service. So you randomly are assigned different services. So I managed to get my own service, orthopedics, my first block. And when I first came on service, our call requirement was 1 in 3. So meaning every 3rd day you have to cover 24 hours, right? In addition to your regular day-to-day activities, right? And duties. So I came on, I was on service, and I also I just managed to have the luck of the guy, anyway, I can't remember his name, but he happened to be a senior resident in his 5th year. So all the residents for the first 4 years are working full-time in the hospital. In your 5th year, you're preparing for your exam, which we call the little quiz at the end, right? Which determines whether you actually get to be an orthopedic surgeon or not. Because our system is different than the American system. In the American system, you do your 5 years, you go out, you practice for 2 years, you collect cases, and then at 2 years, when you have a bunch of cases, you sit your board exam, which is a committee. You present cases. This is what happened. This is what I did. They quiz you. And then if you pass, you are board certified.
Right.
Okay. Fully certified orthopedic surgeon. Doesn't work that way in Canada. In Canada, you do your residency and then you do the quiz. If you don't pass the quiz, you are not an orthopedic surgeon. Doesn't matter that you've done your 5 years.
And then
you are not an orthopedic surgeon.
Do you get an opportunity to write it again in a certain amount of time?
So the quiz comes once a year.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? They will allow you 3 attempts. After that, see ya.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for coming out. Doesn't matter how much training you've done. Thanks for coming out. So, anyway, I happen to, so the 5th year guys, they do half a year regular stuff. And then the last 6 months, all they're doing is, they don't do any clinical work. They just come every day for 6 months, study for their quiz, right? Show up every once in a while to do a little stuff in the OR, look good, and leave, right? So when I first came on service, I happened to be with a senior who was in his 5th year practicing. So he's the senior, I'm a junior. He's studying for his exam. So the first thing he says to me is, bro, you're the junior, you're an ortho. Unless they're fucking dying, don't call me, right? Don't call me. Take care of it. And I'm like, I was a little bit older than my cohort. I'm a father. I got 3 kids at this point.
More mature.
And more mature.
Life
I'm thinking,
experience.
okay, he says to me, don't call him. Okay, I'm gonna do my shit. I do shit myself.
Take care of it. Yeah.
Take care of it. That's what's expected of me. So basically, and because there were no restrictions on hours at that time, and there wasn't the niceties that there are now with hospitals. So the way it is now, generally speaking, after 10 p.m. in the evening, unless the bone is sticking out through the skin or unless the patient is dying, Emerge is not going to call you, right? They'll save it until 8 o'clock in the morning, then they'll call you, right? But in those days, they would, if a car accident happened 2 o'clock in the morning, patient comes in, even if it wasn't open, they'll call you, expect you to come down to Emerge, do that. So I did that for my first 3 years. I did that. They would call me and I would get like 8 or 9 calls a night. So I'm working a full day till 5. Call starts at 5. Then from 5 o'clock in the afternoon till 7 o'clock the next morning, they're calling me. And I would get about 9 or 10 calls. So that's 9 or 10 times I'm going to Emerge. And so I'm not sleeping, like I'm going, admitting the patient, assessing the patient, admitting the patient, writing orders, casting them, reducing fractures if required, whatever.
Yep.
And then I do that. So I did that every 3rd day. So every 3rd day, I was up all night. And the regulations, the official regulations were that you could go home at noon the following day. But like, what are you, fucking pussy? Like, bro, you like literally that's the mentality, right?
Sure.
Like, you're fucking leaving?
Yeah.
Hey, Rainer, there's work to be done. Where are you going? So like, I would never go home because I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You told me I got to do this. No problem. I'm going to do that work.
So,
and then
so you get off shift at 7. You wouldn't go home to rest. What would you do between 7 and noon?
So then it's the next clinical day.
Oh, so you're right into it.
I'm back doing clinical work. And in fact, because at noon because if you left at noon, it was frowned upon, I wouldn't leave at noon. So I would do the whole next clinical day, right? So every 3rd night I would be up all night and then I would just do the next day until 5 o'clock, then I would go home. Right. So you're basically up for 36 hours in a row every third night. Right. Wow. And I did that. So I did that for 3 years until my body said, you can't do that anymore.
And what happened physically? So did something happen? Like, was it a slow burn, or did you hit the wall?
So it was a slow burn.
Yeah.
And like, keep in mind, so I don't have my textbooks here, but the orthopedic textbooks that I have is a 4-volume set, Chapman's, and it's about 5,000 pages. Oh. Right? So not only are you doing clinical work in the hospital, doing all this emergency stuff, you're having to read 5,000 pages and retain that. And there would be times I would read like the same paragraph.
Yeah. Multiple times.
10 times.
And it wouldn't even sync.
And it would not sync.
Yeah.
Right? So I was just like, and I'd be driving home, and the car would be honking behind me because I had fallen asleep at the stoplight. Right.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of going, and I had said to my program director, hey, I need a little help here, just in terms, I didn't say I was tired. I just said, I'm having trouble with the reading material. And I just need a little guidance on what is at my level, what I should be focusing on, because
prioritize,
like
yeah.
I'm trying to prioritize,
yeah.
but I'm still not quite getting it. And I was just super exhausted. Nothing was sticking in my head.
Yeah.
And, residency is like a shark eat their young kind of thing. They figured, oh, I did this shit, you got to do it. And if it worked for me, it'll work for you. And it just wasn't working for me. And so that me saying, can I get some feedback, mm-hmm. was like was a way of me going, oh, I'm bleeding. I'm weak. Mm-hmm. I can't do it. Mm-hmm. Right. So then that set off a whole chain of events in residency. Well, we better get you assessed and all this kind of stuff. And, oh, you're stupid. And for the longest time, they were just like, oh, you're fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid.
Really?
And, oh, for sure. For sure. And there was, a year where, I would show up to the hospital early before everybody. And I would come in the back door because I didn't want anybody to see me coming in. And I would stay until everybody was gone. And then I would leave out the back door because I didn't want them to see me leaving. And I was just kind of like trying to keep my head down, trying to do whatever I could. And I was fucking dying. And we had this, we have this thing for residency health and wellness. And like you meet with a wellness person like once a month or whatever.
Yep.
And it's just part of our program. So I have to thank this lady because she's the one that recognized what was happening. And her name is Monique Bone. And she's got to be retired by now. But anyway, so I went in to speak with her, and we got along really well. I wasn't complaining or anything. I was just saying, she was asking me how things going, and I'm telling her what was going on, what I was doing. And that day that I went to go see her,
yeah.
She said, I'm calling the program director. You're going on a three-month leave today. You're not going to leave here. You're going to go, I'm not allowing you to leave this office. You are going to go from here, and you're going to go see a psychiatrist.
Oh.
Right? I'm going to call the psychiatrist now, and you're going to go, because I was kind of like in this place where people talk about, I won't use the word because I don't want you to get demonetized on YouTube, but people talk about not being here anymore, and whether you have a plan. Well, I had a plan, right? Like drive my car at 150 in a bridge abutment. I had a plan, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I didn't is because I didn't want my wife to be stuck with the 3 kids and all of the debt that I owed.
Yep.
That was the reason why I didn't. But like, I was just so exhausted. It was just like, fuck, what am I doing? And she basically saved my life, right?
Yeah.
She, I left from there, went to see the psychiatrist. started seeing a psychiatrist, took the 3 months off. Then when I went back, then I have to face my department, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're fucking stupid. Like, you don't know shit." Like, "Oh, okay."
Terrible culture.
We need to scrutinize everything. And I was like, it's not that you need to scrutinize everything. I just need a little bit of guidance, and just some direction.
Sure.
And having had a teaching degree before that, like, I was doing things, I was asking questions, which in teachers college, they had said, if you have a student that's struggling or whatever, these are the kinds of things you have to do. I did what I was taught to do, right? And this is why I was saying before, like in residency, you have people really smart. They're fucking great surgeons. They're like really intelligent people, but they have no formal education training, right? And so they do things the way that they think they should be doing, which are not effective. And then they're like, well, you're fucking stupid if it doesn't work, right?
Not so.
Not
even close.
So anyway, so I finished the rest of my residency under that kind of, so I had 2.5 years left with that and that scrutiny, and it's like, oh, well, you're not smart. In the 5th year, so remember, half the year clinical work, half year you're practicing for your exam. So when I started, so I have this culture like you're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're an idiot. And then as I'm practicing for my exam, 2 things happen. 6 weeks before my exam, I get a call. I'm in group teaching with my cohort. My mother, she's crying. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Blah, blah, blah. So there's 6 kids in my family. I'm number 4. My 3 older brothers in Jamaica. And I'm the oldest here in Canada. And then I have a younger brother, younger sister here in Canada. My mother's crying. They killed, he's dead. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking? He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. And finally get it out of her. So my oldest brother in Jamaica died. And like he's only like late 30s, right? At the time. So that happened 6 weeks before.
So back in 2016, I was able to start working with Kydex, and the reason I wanted to start working with Kydex was because I was a left-handed shooter. Finding left-handed gear was extremely hard, so I just put 2 and 2 together and started working with Kydex, making left-handed holsters for myself. From there, quote-unquote, refined my process. Started making gear for buddies that were cops in military, and it literally snowballed from there.
Everything that we do is handmade by shooters for shooters, and there's a lot of other Kydex companies out there, and they are also for shooters by shooters. But we take the time and we care about what we do, and I think that shows in our products.
Like working here, this is our home. We brought it from home and we created a home. Our kids have worked here, so this is our home.
Okay, so you come back from 3 months off, so a little bit rested, a little bit rejuvenated, but then this is when you learn that your oldest brother had passed.
So not quite then. So I come back. I have to go through all these sleep assessments and all this kind of stuff, right? To see if I got narcolepsy or whatever, which I didn't. I just fucking chronically deprived of sleep, right? Anyway, so I did 2 years of that. One of the things that they made me do differently because they didn't. So as soon as my program director gets a sleep specialist involved, well, now they have to follow the sleep specialist's recommendations, right? So the sleep specialist says, well, chronically chronically deprived of sleep every 36 hours, that can't fly. He can't do that anymore. He has to do shift work. Well, our program doesn't work on shift work, right? So now I'm literally the fucking black sheep, right? Because I'm doing this different from everybody else, right? So what they made me do is 3 weeks of days, no nights, no call. And then I would do all my call 7 days in a row, basically night shift, right? So I'd have no daytime responsibilities. I would just show up at night and I would do everything, right? So I did that, and I had to do that for 2 years. Okay. So you know, my colleagues are like, "Oh, you're not carrying your fair share of the load because you're not doing your daytime stuff with us," and then it's just a kink in the system for the admins and the teachers. So they're like, well, "Fuck this guy." So anyway, so that's the environment for the next 2 years. So I just did that, just buckled down, put my head down, just did that. Then I'm studying now for my exam. So now I don't have clinical responsibilities. I'm just showing up every day. We're studying, we're doing practice exams, we're being quiz. Yep. And then, during that, I find out that my brother died. So I have to basically, arrange all of that because my mother's a basket case. And my, so this brother is my half brother. It's not my father's son. So he's going to go, but he's not going to take care of all that stuff. So I'm the one, like the funeral in Jamaica. I don't live in Jamaica, bro. But I'm the one who's got to organize, do all of that, take care of my mother when we're there. My father was there, but again, take care of my mother, do all that. So I do that. So that's eating up a week of that 6 weeks. And then there's just the holy shit, my brother fucking died. And now I got to be focused again. Yeah. And then when we get back, my father has a brief illness, goes into the hospital. And then, so about a month before my exam, so shortly after we get back from Jamaica, he goes in the hospital. Turns out he's got stage 3 bowel cancer. And he has to fucking have a laparotomy and have a bowel resection and have a colostomy. And so then there's that. So my focus, so just because of the environment, in all honesty, I wasn't ready to write my exam. I wasn't.
And when you say that, what was the factor, or what was going through your head to suggest that you weren't ready? I mean, you just went through a lot.
No, but I just think, just because of the whole situation, I never got guidance on sort of what to, like, where I should have been focused. And now in hindsight, I know, okay, at this stage, I should have focused on that. I should have focused on that. But nobody ever told me that. So I just kind of did everything. And it's just, you can get the information, but unless you layer it appropriately, right? Like, to use something in your parlance, like you're not going to give a guy a pistol for the first day and a carbine, and then the next day you go fucking do CQB. Yeah. You have to build some skills first.
Correct. Yeah.
And then once you do that, you layer it, right? So I just kind of was learning everything. Oh, okay, I'm learning this today. I'm learning CQB today. I'm learning that. I'm learning that tomorrow. I'm doing
too much.
And just all I needed was a bit of guidance. So anyway, because of that, I kind of had all this information, but it wasn't really organized right, and my understanding of it wasn't complete. In hindsight, I can say I wasn't ready. I can acknowledge that. I understand that. But part of it was like, I got to get the fuck out of here, because like these people every day, like, you're fucking stupid. You're blah blah blah. I am not stupid. Yeah. Okay. But that, I had to get out of there. So I basically, they said, we're not going to let you write your exam. I said, you fucking let me write my exam or I'm going to fucking sue you.
Oh, wow.
Right. So, so they let me write my exam and I failed my exam. So, but I had already lined up a fellowship back at Western. The people at Western knew me because I had played football there. They had operated on me as an athlete. They had known what my interest was all the time, right? And I had been there for 12 years, always in and around that system. So they said, yeah, we know you failed. Don't worry. Come on down here. I went to Western and they were like, we're going to get you in shape. We're going to get you in shape, man. So I basically, I went there as a fellow. So I did my fellowship during the day. But in the evening, I trained with the 5th-year residents, the ones who were writing their exam.
Right.
And then they were the ones who said, okay, this is how you layer it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
This is all I needed.
They provided some structure for you.
They just provided some structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
The information was just all there. They just provided a little structure.
Right.
Then I went back the second year, wrote my exam. And literally, when I wrote that exam the second year, right? And I went through my all my interview questions. I walked out of there and I was like, this is a joke, right? Like this, it can't be that easy. I had done that. Like the questions change from year to year. The examiners change, right? But the concepts are all the same. The year before, I had fucking struggled. I went and did it a year later with a structure. That's all.
Yeah. Just
some structure. And I was like, fucking, it was like a walk in the park, man.
Wow.
You know? And so then that's kind of how things transpired. And I was like, okay, I'm free now.
So that when you got your, the receiving end of your passing mark, was that instantaneous or did you have to wait a certain amount of time?
No, you have to wait.
How long of a wait is that?
So there's two parts. So you first do the written part.
Yeah.
And I think you have to wait. I think you have to wait about 2 weeks and you get those marks online, right? And so I remember that logging on one day in our townhouse and looking on the computer. My wife's looking over my shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, what a feeling.
So I passed that part.
Yeah.
But then a few weeks later, you got to do your oral exams. So then you do the oral exams, and I literally thought, fuck, man, it can't be this fucking easy. So I can't. But then you got to wait, and it's like 6 weeks. And so then I got that online as well. And I was like, holy shit, I fucking passed, bro. Like, yeah.
Oh, man, what a good feeling. And then
it's amazing.
And then at that point, so you've got your pass, and is there like an official handshake, diploma, and now you have the title, you have the stamp, and you're now it's go time.
So you pass your exam, and then like you're technically still on service at the hospital until the end of June, right? So that happened in May and early June. So then it's like a couple weeks where you're just kind of You're kind of doing the victory lap and everybody's like, oh yeah, you passed your exam, right? And then so you just like, you show up, do a couple surgeries. You're not really doing very much call or whatever. And you're just kind of look good. So I just kind of went back, finished that. And then if you're fortunate, you have a job lined up to start immediately thereafter.
And did you have that?
I did not. So so I'm from Kitchener-Waterloo area. My wife's from Cambridge. So during my residency, I had taken money from the community of Cambridge to go back to that area to serve as an orthopedic surgeon when I was done. So I had made that plan. So I had that lined up. But because my kids had really grown up, like they were born in London when I was at Western, but they had really grown up their formative years, high school years in Ottawa. Like they didn't want to go back to Kitchener. Their grandparents lived there, but they didn't have friends there.
They would start all over.
And they would start all over again.
Yeah.
So they wanted to go back to Ottawa. My wife didn't want to upset the family too much. So we went back to Ottawa, but there was no job, right? And also, like, I had been in this environment where, oh, you're an idiot, right? So, like, even though my ultimate goal when I had first started was to be an academic guy, there was no way I was going to be academic because I would have to be working with these same people that like had looked down at me for 6 years, right? So so when I came back, I didn't have a job. So I did a few things. Number one, my buddy had a landscaping company. And so as a fully trained orthopedic surgeon, 17 years of education, I did landscaping for 3 months.
Wow.
And on the crew, I was the junior dude. So every day they'd make fun of me, right? Because, how's your education there, buddy? Because I'm the guy that's hand bombing all the dirt and the wheelbarrows, and they would laugh. And I did that for 3 months, and then and one day I had a little bit of a breakdown at that, just because, and they were laughing. Some guy, I had been lifting blocks, and he threw like a cinder block, and I caught it, and then I ended up just because he had thrown it, smashing my hand in between two cinder blocks.
Oh,
so I had just I was like, I got the whole stress at that point. I owe $500,000, right? And I got the whole stress of trying to find a job. I smashed my hand, and I'm thinking in my head, I fucked my hand, and I was like, I just kind of like lost it. And they were like, they're laughing. They couldn't figure it out. I was like, I had thought,
yeah,
I spent 17 years and I haven't even done it.
That's your moneymaker.
That's my moneymaker. Anyway, so I did that for 3 months. And then you can do locums. So locum is where you, surgeons up north or remote places go on vacation. So you can cover their service for a week or two. So I did that. And then also, I wasn't good enough to be an academic surgeon and work with these guys, but I could do surgical assist with them, and they had no problem with me doing that. So I did that for a few years until I ended up getting a job in Cornwall.
Oh, that is a journey and a half. Holy.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, man, like, talk about robustness and toughness and mental resiliency. Like, wow.
So here's one thing I say to people. I don't say this to people, but I think this from time to time. Although I've never done CANSOF selection or anything like that, I think to myself, I'm the guy that you would want, because fucking mission focus, 15 years, 16 years, 17 years, you're an idiot. I still showed up. And I remember there was one guy who said to me, "You will never be an orthopedic surgeon." One of my staff guys.
Oh, yeah? He said that to you?
He said that to me. You'll never be an orthopedic surgeon.
And that's when you shifted gears and said, I'll show you.
No, fucking right, bro. Fucking right. And when I see, he's retired now. And I don't consider him a friend. But whenever I see that dude at orthopedic kind of things, I'm sure to walk up very politely. I shake his hand. How you doing?
Good for you.
How you doing, brother?
Good for you. Man, okay, that's wild. But if you don't mind, talk a little bit about your residency. And in those formative years, Afghanistan was still on the go.
For sure.
Well, not still on the go. It was very much, in the heat of battle. And this, I think, is really important, but also interesting for listeners and viewers. For folks that don't know, during the Afghanistan era, between 2005, 2009, that's where Canada suffered its most casualties. It's where a lot of good Canadians were coming home in body bags, unfortunately. And in that time, so 2000 to 2005, correct? That's when you were doing your residency. How much exposure did you get to the Canadian Armed Forces in terms of those folks coming home in bad shape?
So, prior to residency, I had very limited exposure to the CAF. A little bit during medical school, because we were the first in London. We were the first cohort that trained PAs, physician assistants. First started in the CAF in Canada.
Right.
Okay. So they came through when I was doing medical school, but that was my only exposure. In residency, however, so the Ottawa Hospital, Ottawa, the nation's capital, and we have the Ottawa Hospital, which is our trauma center, right? So we had a dedicated trauma service. And this is what actually got me interested in joining the CAF, because we see a lot of stuff in our textbooks, and we learn about how to fix fractures and stuff like that. If you have this, do it this way, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, a very sort of logical person, but I do like to sort of figure out solutions to puzzles and think outside of the box. And so one of the things that I saw a lot on our trauma service, and I was constantly amazed by this, because you would never hear about these people in the news, right? But guys that were getting injured, they would be sent to Germany, stabilize in Germany, and then they would come directly back, right? Because they used to have NDMC, which was the military hospital, but then when that stopped, they had sort of the military stuff at the Montfort,
right,
and then also at the Civic Hospital, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
So we actually had a military unit, right, at the Civic. So guys would come back. You'd never hear about this stuff on the news, and these guys were fucked up, like IED explosions, guys getting blown to shit.
Yeah.
And the thing that interested me was that, like, there's these fractures that's like, fuck it. There was like nothing that I had read in any of my textbook. And it's like, well, you're having to make shit up, right? And one of the things that I like about orthopedics is that so many of the procedures that we have now that are commonplace in regular orthopedics were developed from applications in the military.
Right.
Because guys were like, fuck, how do I fix that?
Yeah.
I don't know. That was never in a textbook. And they made up a procedure or technique or equipment to fix that. And so I liked that challenge, right?
Yeah.
So we were seeing, like, every week during residency when I was on trauma service, there was at least one or two guys who were fucked up.
Wow.
Right? And so we were doing all kinds of interesting operations. And I was like, this is cool, man. Right? And then just, so that kind of made me, that kind of ignited an interest in that. And I thought, oh, like, I would love to do, initially I thought I was going to be a trauma guy, and just do trauma. And that was what kind of ignited that, you know? And then I just did that during residency. And so during my residency, I had looked at joining the CAF, because you can do a direct entry from residency. You can do it at many levels, but you can do direct entry in residency. And in like if you do before residency, then they make you do a family medicine residency, and you got to give 5 years return of service. And if you then want to do another fellowship or a residency in a specific service, then you can do it at that time. I didn't want that. I knew I was orthopedics, so I tried to apply then, but that was also the time when I'm having this issue with the sleeping and whatever.
Okay.
And so they declined me doing direct entry, because they were like, well, you got a sleep problem and you don't do like, no, we don't want you. So that's fine. So I finished my residency, continued to do that trauma stuff. But then I also got an interest in sports medicine. And just because I'd been an athlete and I'd had orthopedic surgery myself. So I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. So I finished my residency, and then I applied again a second time, because then it's like, well, I have control of my sleep schedule. I'm not being chronically deprived. I'm not on any medication anymore. And then I got
Green Bill.
Well, I didn't do direct entry. I did reserve. So I joined the reserves then.
Okay. And when you joined the reserves, what trade did you fall under, and what avenue did you go?
So I'm Army, but I'm purple trade. So I'm Army, but we could go anywhere.
Right. So for folks that don't know what purple trade means, is any element. So Air Force, Navy, Army, or CANSOF.
Yeah. So technically, like I have all my Army greens. Right. But like I could still be
employed with the Air Force or Navy or whatever. Cool, man. It's awesome. And still with it. Like
I'm still with it. I haven't done anything with them for the last year. Just I've been being a reservist. They are pretty hands off with us. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's bad. Yeah. Because sometimes they forget that you exist. Yeah. But it's been good just in that, because after COVID, like business for my business was really shitty during COVID, because the government shut us down pretty much. And so I've spent the last year now trying to get that back operating. And so that has been outside of my day-to-day orthopedics. That's been the focus. And so the fact that they've been hands off has been good, just because I don't like, me leaving for 3 months to do something while I'm trying to do that is
the good thing about the reserves, for folks that may or may not know, you're a citizen first, soldier second. So you kind of, you make it work for your schedule. There's a lot of good people that are in the reserves that are, business owners, teachers, doctors, lawyers, you name it, and they're still involved. For folks that may or not know, and it's interesting what you just said there is sometimes we're kind of forgotten. I think the onus is on the member to remain relevant and remain interested and show your face every now and again, because it's reciprocal. It's easy to get kind of lost or forgotten about or left in the shadows.
For sure.
But I mean, how do you make yourself known? Is you provide exposure, right?
Yes.
So it goes both ways, but I'm glad you said that. And for folks that are listening and maybe contemplating life in the military, the reserves is a great route to navigate, your journey in terms of what you're interested in and where you want to be.
For sure.
So good for you, man. It's awesome. So tell us, man, that is, wow, we could talk for another 2 hours just about your journey to get there.
I yap a lot, man, so
it's all good. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about 2.0. So what is it? What does it represent? And what offerings do you guys have here in Ottawa?
So Human 2.0 is sort of my take on what musculoskeletal fitness and rehab should be. When I kind of went through orthopedics, I figured I'm just going to be an orthopedic surgeon and I'm going to send people off for physiotherapy and the physiotherapists will take care of it. And I have the, I guess, depending on how you look at it, either the benefit or the misfortune of having been a competitive athlete and having had access to really good physiotherapy and rehab care in London when I was there, Fowler Kennedy. So our Canada's preeminent rehab facility is Fowler Kennedy Sports Medicine Clinic in London, Ontario. Okay. So that is the top of the peak, right?
Yeah, it's the platinum version.
That's platinum version. So that's where just because I was at Western, that's where I happened to be treated as an athlete. And then when I was a medical student and a fellow, so as a medical student, I did electives there, and as a fellow, I did I saw patients there. So that is what I envisioned everywhere was like.
Right.
And then I realized when I came out that everywhere is not like that. So at one point, my wife said, "Stop complaining, do something about it." I'm like, okay, fine. So
great advice.
I'm just a doer type of person. So it's like, okay, so I opened up a facility, and what I'm trying to create is a multidisciplinary, seamlessly integrated facility where we have every service. Orthopedic surgeon, sports medicine, massage, physio, personal training, everything. And so we can cover the gamut from injury to wellness and beyond. That's what I say. Right. And so we are trying, and because I believe that we are all athletes, we train everybody like you're an athlete. And I don't care if you're a 75-year-old grandma and your Olympic sport is playing with your fucking grandkids. Sure. I'm going to make you the best grandma that can play the best with your grandkids ever, right? And we're going to train you like you're an Olympic athlete, but tailor it to what you do and to your skill set and your level, right?
Very cool.
So we offer all of those services. And we also have group fitness with a focus on movement literacy. So we're teaching people how to move better so that they can use this machine optimally. And we're trying to do it with an eye towards injury prevention, right? We want to push people as hard as possible and get the most performance out of them that we can. But we also want to do it like we do some stuff similar in our group fitness to CrossFit, but we're not like CrossFit in that we're not here to drive you into the ground. I want to make you as strong and as jacked as possible, but do it in a safe and sustainable way so that you can continue to do that when you're 50, 60, 70 years old, right?
What do you see, Chris, as like a common theme or a common kind of highlighted area where like movement is crucial and I think a lot of people, if you ask 10 people, hey, do you move well? Very quickly, they would probably nod and be like, yeah, I think I move pretty well. But when it comes to movement specifically,
yes,
in relation to avoiding injuries or preventing something that could potentially come to the surface, what do you see most common? Is it range of motion? Is it lack of flexibility? Is it like, there's got to be something that you're like, we've identified that. And because we were either able to rectify and create a solution for it or not, it either made them more optimally made their movement more optimal, or we didn't get ahead of time and it caused an injury.
So I would say there's a few things, but I would say if I had to prioritize them, I would say probably one of the two things that I think are most important. Number one, or that I think have the most influence. Number one are muscle imbalances. Okay. And we are very front focused, which makes sense. Our eyes are on the front. Most of the things that we do are on the front, right? So we tend to be more biased towards the musculature on the front than we are on the back. But the thing is, if we are not keeping those things balanced, then we have situations where we tend to stress joints more on one side than the other.
Right.
And it can put unnecessary forces on the joint. And also it can cause movement restrictions. Okay. So that kind of sets the stage, right? And then in conjunction with the second thing, which is, I think, proprioception, people say they're good movers, but if you watch people move, most people can't move properly.
Yeah.
And like, people think that we're movement snobs at Human 2.0, and we are, but I'm a movement snob even for myself. And I analyze my movement and say, oh, geez, I could fix this. I should be doing this. And people have poor proprioceptive skills. And so proprioception just refers to your ability for your brain to know what your body is doing in space at all times, even when you're not looking at it.
That's right.
Right? And if you combine muscle imbalances, right, with poor proprioception, recipe for fucking disaster.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you can't figure out what you're doing in space and you can't figure out that your body's in a poor position.
Yep. I couldn't agree more, man. And I was just running a CQB instructor course last week in Niagara, a great bunch of dudes from the tactical police community. And one of the things I shared with them was about movement, where generally, not always, but generally, guys that do well in a CQB, they come from an athletic background. So they have they're tuned in to proprioception. They already have a pretty good element of balance, and they know where their feet are underneath of their bodies. Guys that maybe have not come from an athletic background doesn't mean that they're not going to do well in CQB. It just might mean that it takes them a little bit longer. More importantly, it takes them a little bit more to assess what they're actually looking at, because they're subconsciously thinking about their balance and thinking about where they are in relation to their team.
Athletes know without looking at their feet, right? Or without looking, they know where they are, right? Like, they know where their center of gravity is in relation to their base.
Yes.
Right? And so if you, knowing that and being able to sense, oh shit, I'm more loaded to this side, I got to be careful here, or whatever. Knowing that without having to look down or look around gives you that. It may only be a split second, but on the court or on the playing field or in a life or death situation, that might be the difference between you getting your ass blown up, right? Or you being able to enforce action on the bad guy.
Yeah. Man, it's awesome. I think movement is underrated, and I think there's, when I personally provide training for the tactical athlete, generally when I program structure, watch them move a little bit, make an assessment. Generally, it's 2 pull movements for every 1 push, and I agree with you. I think, especially as men, we are overdeveloped on the front side, what we see in the mirror, and underdeveloped in the backside. So. Everything from the posterior chain, the way I look at it, is the horsepower. That's going to make us go, right? We need it right now. That's where it's going to come from. So trying to create programming for the tactical athlete with the thought process, if they're going to use this in a CQB environment where it's chaotic, it's responsive, it's reactive, and you're working in a team function, these are the areas, in my opinion, that will help you succeed in a CQB environment.
For sure. I talked to Matt Wenning a while ago on a podcast on my channel. So Matt Wenning used to be a competitor in World Strongman, and he was like top 3 at one point. And then when he kind of stopped doing that, he was just strength and conditioning. He's got a master's in biomechanics and kinesiology.
Right.
When he finished with that, for 5 years, he did all the programming for the Rangers in the United States military.
Very cool.
And one of the things he talked about, so he had a few rules, and one of his rules was that he would always do twice as much posterior chain as back. That was his rule for all of his programming.
Interesting.
Twice as much on the back as on the front. And then the other thing which I thought was interesting is that unless you could squat 2 times your body weight, right, he would never do plyometrics because tendon health. And then this is something that I talked about with Devin on a podcast. Because there's lots of times people can be strong, right? But tendons mature and develop at a rate 10 times slower than their muscle or bone. So there's guys that are really strong and they develop that strength pretty quickly. But in order for your tendon to carry that load, you need to develop it, and it comes at a rate which is 1/10 that. So he would never, unless you could do 2 times your body weight, he would never do plyometrics, because then you'd end up guys tearing Achilles and stuff like that. So those are just 2 things that I remember speaking from him.
Huh. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So how would you, it's a tough question, but I'll ask it anyway because you're a smart dude. How would you program, say you have a tactical police officer or somebody that's in the Canadian Armed Forces, they're interested in, getting into CANSOFCOM, where it's challenging. It's tough. Physically, mentally, it's tough. And it's designed to be that way for a reason. But if you're going to give, say, a 2-year program for a young man, 22, 23 years old, without looking at him, without even seeing how he moves, how would you structure that? What would you, because and I'll kind of preface this. I'm not a fan of periodization. I'm not a fan of, okay, for 3 months, we're going to work on strength. For another 3 months, we're going to work on power. I like to put everything together and let the body naturally find its rhythm and its midway point. That's my approach. It might be a little bit different in the industry of personal training, but from your perspective, how would you give somebody a 2-year program, and what would you factor in terms of the priorities to give them the highest probable chance of success?
So is this somebody who's trying to get into CANSOF?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, what I would do is they have to recognize that there are certain standards that you have to meet for testing, right? So as my base, I would use those standards to basically develop my foundation, right? So you got to have your run time, you got to have your pull-ups, push-ups, all those kinds of things.
Right.
And I wouldn't focus on those, but I would use those as sort of my general fitness things. And then after that, the one thing that I think people need to understand, and I'm not saying that CANSOF guys or GTF, CANSOF, or American Navy SEALs, whatever, any SOF operator. Yeah. Not that these guys aren't fucking strong and jacked, but once it's kind of a little bit like I always used to say to students, once you get into residency, like it's pretty much like an old boys club. Like you're in the club, right? Everybody's bigger, faster, stronger. Now it's about maintenance and taking care of yourself, right? So I would use the standards, the testing standards, as your baseline, to sort of measure where you are. So develop your ability to do those standards first, because then you can measure where you are, and from time to time you can reassess where you are and your progress in terms of those other things. And then, and we've talked about this before, you like, I think it depends a little bit upon what you are envisioning that your role is going to be in cants off or whatever special forces unit. You know, are you going to be a breacher? Are you going to be this? Are you going to be that? You can be a sniper. So it kind of varies a little bit from that. But once you've kind of got your foundation, then I would much rather see guys focusing on things that we just talked about a little bit. Okay, so what are the things that I can do to improve my proprioception, move better, right? And then what are the things that are longevity? Because that are going to influence my longevity, right? So I would be looking at, we've talked about knees, shoulders, right? Guys jumping out of a plane, parachute, dislocating their shoulders, guys in a tactical situation, running, and now they got to get into a shooting position and flinging themselves on the ground, and they're taking hit on their knees. So I would be saying, okay, knees and shoulders. I really need to be building up all of my my lower extremity, my pelvic girdle strength. I need to be building up the strength around my knees, and I need to have good ankle flexibility so that I can get into that position quickly in a way that is as least injurious to myself as possible. Building up the shoulders, and that's what I'd be working on. And I wouldn't be working on a lot of people. When you watch them train, they want to do maximal strength. I don't think you need to do maximal strength because I don't think there's really a time where you're going to be called on to do max strength. What you're going to be called on to do is ruck your fucking 100-pound pack for 10 kilometers in the fucking bush, which is a different thing than you being able to lift up or squat 400 pounds. You know what I mean?
And that's just one part of it. So, you know, maybe that 10K 100-pound pack is just to get you to the job.
Yes.
And then you may have to drop that ruck and then sprint 100 meters and then assault a structure where then you get into a scrap where now you're pushing, you're pulling, you're changing levels, you're putting a lot of torque on the joints and the shoulder. Like there's a lot to it.
For sure.
I find it really interesting where, you know, helping guys try to achieve their goals, and I'll write programs for them. I'll ask them, I'll get some feedback from them, check in every couple of weeks, see how they're doing. And there are guys that are working extremely hard, but they're doing the things that they're already good at, you know, instead of working on those limitations that could not only prevent the injury, but give them, man, like 10-year plus to their career.
So this is something else that we've touched on before. Okay. Our focus at Human 2.0, we call it's weakness-based training, right? People go, oh, well, what the fuck is that? You tell me everywhere where you are weak or where you have difficulty. That's where we're going to spend the most time. Why? Well, here's the thing. Bigger, faster, stronger. Everybody loves to gravitate towards, oh man, I fucking squat great. I got a great bench. I'm going to do more of that. Bro, you're already fucking strong in that, right? And when it comes to, and especially for the soft community, when it comes to what's going to fuck you up, or what's going to get your teammates fucked up, it's not what you're strong in. Excuse me. It's going to be in what you are weak in. That is, so if you want to get the most bang for the buck, right? You're never going to be slowed down by the shit that you're good at.
That's right.
You're going to be slowed down by the stuff that you fucking suck at. So spend the most of the time working on that stuff that where you fucking hate it in the gym. And it's like, oh my God.
Not sexy. It's not fun, but it's so important.
That's what you need. That's where you're going to get the most bang for the buck. That's what's going to be the thing that will make. And if you were to chart the work on that stuff versus your performance, right? That, like, you already are good at these other things. If you want to make those things shine even more, work on this other stuff, right? Because then instead of your floor being down here, your floor will be up here, right? And then everything else will shine more. So if anything that where you suck at, like, you know, that's where you should spend time. Yeah,
agreed. Yeah. I call it the 70-30 principle. You only have an hour to train, spend 70% of that time on developing the weaknesses, raise the level, raise the bar. And then, you know, of course, like still dedicate 30% of the stuff that you're really good at, because under stress, under duress, that's what's going to come to the surface.
So it's interesting. I'm gonna use an analogy here. So we're content creators on YouTube, right? And I remember somebody saying to me one time, because I would always get mad if my videos didn't go viral, right? And I would be looking at the peaks on the analytics.
Yeah.
And this person said to me something which was so profound. He said, "Bro, who cares about the peaks, man? You're gonna have those. What you should be caring about is the trough, right? And as long as the troughs are on an upward
Trending
trajectory,
upwards, that's right. Yeah, good.
that's what you need, right? And it's the same kind of thing. Like, yeah, sure, it's great to be able to do this. Oh, you know, I benched this much, I squatted this much, I did whatever. But what you want is where are the troughs at?
Yeah.
Pay attention to that and work to develop that and bring those in.
Yeah, man. It's awesome. I couldn't agree with you more. It's awesome getting it from a doctor's perspective. Hopefully it holds them a little bit more weight than this knucklehead. I find sometimes I call them assholes. Great people. They ask for advice. I give them advice. They don't listen to it. Like, don't be an asshole. You ask me for my advice, man. Just apply a little bit of it. Just try. Yeah. Obviously, I have some experience to draw upon. Like, I'm not just making this stuff up, right? Anyway, all good intentions, man. It's awesome. Very cool, Chris. I think we're coming up on just over an hour here, so we'll wrap it up. This is awesome. Thanks for making the time.
No worries, man.
If you could give some advice to your 22-year-old self, so somebody that is interested in becoming a doctor, and your story is pretty wild, but what advice would you give somebody, if they want to become a doctor and, they know that it's going to be a grind, it's competitive, what advice would you give them?
I would encourage them to seek deferred gratification. When you were stepped out for a moment before, I used that term with Josh, and I said, seek deferred gratification. So it's a long-term play, right? And so you got to keep your eyes on the prize, keep your eye on the long-term focus of the mission. And there might be things along the way that happen that some are good, some are bad, but the long-term goal. So think towards that and don't get caught up too much in the day-to-day things. Just keep focusing on that long-term. Number one. Number two, I would say that they should probably spend time, even before they get into medicine, around that community, get to see what people do, and don't just do the glamorous shit, right? See them when they're in the clinic. If you can, see them when they're in the OR. If you can, see them when they're doing office work, they're doing their tedious paper shit, just so that you can get a vision of what it truly is like, because people kind of sometimes they get their ideas from what they see on TV or whatever, and it ain't like that, right? It's different. So I would sort of try to spend time around those people so they can see. And then I would say the other thing is that make yourself known to the community, right? When I look at my own story, I kind of had a tough time in the middle. But the people at Western, and I got to tip my hat off to those people. Thank you very much. And Pete Fowler, Bob Giffen, Bob Litchfield, Kevin Willits, that community knew of my path. They knew of my interest 10 years before I arrived at their doorstep.
Right.
And because of that, when things went sideways, they said, "Don't worry, bro. We got you. Come, we'll help you out." And they did, right? And so I think you can't just show up to the community and say, "Hey guys, I'm here. Let's go." I think it is a bit of an old boys network in that, like, before you show up, well, you kind of have to be vetted, right? And so you have to have demonstrated an interest for a long period of time.
For sure.
Right? And you have to have shown them steps that you were, working towards whatever means you had possible. You were working towards this. You recognize you couldn't just end up and show up here.
Right.
You had to do all these other things, all this legwork. Some people go, "Oh, man, why am I volunteering here? Why am I doing this? This is a waste of my time.
Part of the process, man.
Part of the process, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No easy button.
No easy run. So I'd say those things. And just, try to get guidance from people who are in, and not necessarily as a official thing, but just, make relationships with people and reach out to them and ask them, hey, tell me what it's like to be an orthopedic surgeon. Tell me what it's like or to be this. Tell me what the residency's like. What should I expect? What kinds of things can I do to make this journey, more straightforward, easier? Those kinds of things. And not gonna lie, it's hard work, man. It's like I worked, as I said, I was up every third night, and I worked routinely 100-hour weeks, right? I did it all the time. And so, if you want to do that, there are times, so many times when I'm in the OR and I'm like, bro, they pay me to do this.
Yeah.
I fucking love this. Yeah. Right. And it's so amazing. And when patients come back and they're so happy, they're crying or whatever. I think this is what it's all about. Yeah. Right. But, it is hard work. Right. And so you have to recognize there is no easy day.
No, man.
There is no easy day, man.
Anything worth having, it's, it takes time and you got to work. You got to be willing to work harder than the average. And, I get that question a lot. Is there anything I'm afraid of? Is there anything, what advice would I give people and stuff? And what I'm afraid of is being average. And
yes.
I think the only reason that I had the successes that I had, well, two major reasons. I was willing to work harder than the average. And I was surrounded by good people that provided guidance and helped me along the way and gave me some coaching every now and again. But I was open to listening to that feedback.
Yes.
Right. So it is it's a collective of, surrounding yourself with good people, taking good advice, seeking good advice.
Yes.
But then working hard, man. There is no substitution to hard work. There's no easy button. There's no magic pill. There's no pixie dust. There's none of that bullshit. You need to be willing to get into the trenches and get dirty.
Two things. Number one, there's a Jamaican saying. My mother always used to say this to me, and I remember it. If you want good, your nose have to run. So if you want something good, your nose has to run. Meaning there is no easy day.
Yeah.
Hard work. And then one other thing that I just thought about, because you said surround yourself with good people. I tell my kids this all the time. Well, they're not kids, but adults, whatever.
Yep.
I told them this growing up, and I think this to myself. You are the sum of the 5 closest people to you. Right? So if you want to elevate yourself, pick those 5 people carefully.
Yeah. Because
they will either bring you up or they will bring you down.
Sure.
Right? So those are the things, man. Just be prepared to grind.
Yeah, buddy. I love it. How can people find you? Tell us, YouTube channel, Instagram feed. How can people find you, follow you, like you, and give you the support that you deserve?
Yep. So they can find me on YouTube, Dr. Chris Rainer, MD. Chris Rainer, MD. And on Instagram, TikTok, Dr. Chris Rainer. And search me up and they'll find me. And if they want to listen to me, I told you guys before, man, I can talk forever. So they'll hear my opinionated rants on there. And I never say to anybody that I'm always right, but I will definitely give you my opinion, and you will know where I stand on any issue, because I'm not afraid to say it.
That's all good, man. Because people, they have the ability to push the button, right?
Exactly.
So, like, hey, you don't want to listen to it, man? Go to the next one. Do something else. It's all good. Yeah. Right on. All right. Thanks a lot, Chris. I appreciate it. Best of luck with everything, man. And I hope we can reconnect in some form or fashion in the future.
Definitely, man.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Cheers.